We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about mistakes you could be making with your Texas rig, especially the setup. Because when it comes to Texas rigs, the hooks matter. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and today we're talking about a very important aspect of your Texas rig fishing that is often overlooked, and that is the hook type. Now, granted, we know pretty much any type of hook can be Texas rigged, shaky heads, Ned rigs, swim baits, whatever, but today we're focusing on the three main types that we consider Texas rigging hooks for our soft plastics. And we're going to start off with this guy right here. I've got two of these. These are flipping hooks. These are pitching hooks. Two different sizes. I've got a 5/0 and I've got a 4/0 here. And anglers generally recognize that these are used for punching, flipping, heavy mats, heavy slop, dragging something through the cheese. And, well, they work very well for that. This is a great hook for that. But not just that, not just the stout wire or the keeper here, but they have a very big advantage over other types of Texas rigging hooks, namely EWG hooks, and that is that offset line tie to that hook point. And that offset line tie to that hook point, what that does is that allows you to drive that hook point home. It gives us a gap here that allows that hook point to penetrate into the fish's mouth, and we get better hookups, resulting in much fewer fish lost. So these are meant for more heavy duty flipping and pitching. These are meant to be used with force on a hook set. They're meant to be driven home. That's why they have a lot more wire to them. These are dragged through some slop. Whenever a fish is hooked with one of these, when you're trying to fish it through heavy hydrilla, milfoil, or hyacinth, or whatever your vegetation may be in your area, when you hook into that fish is going to want to bury deep into that slop. That's why you have to really pull and you really have to work on it. So paired up with 50-pound, 65-pound braid, this hook has got to be able to withstand all of that. So obviously, if you're pitching or flipping, this is going to be the hook that you use. But a lot of times, this hook will be used by anglers for all of their Texas rigging needs. And they work very well for that. If you're going to use one hook in particular for all of your Texas rigging, well, this would probably be the style for that, simply because of its stoutness and that offset hook shank. However, there are some drawbacks to using this. The way that it sits in the water, the way that it comes through the water and the bait works with it, can tend to have a less than ideal, less than lifelike presentation or appearance to the fish. These are meant for quick yo-yoing presentations and then gone. Dragging it across the bottom with a worm, the fish may not think that it's as realistic, so there is that drawback. However, a lot of guys use these primarily for all of their Texas rigging, and they have a great amount of success with it. All right, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. I have a Texas rigged hover rig, and I've got, this is the 3/64 ounce size that I'm working. And as long as these fish are up on bed, well, they're pushing back into these pockets right here, so as long as they're doing that, you know, I mean, we've a little bit of rain today, a little bit of rain last night, kind of overcast today. We're going to kind of work these pockets here just a little bit, but I have a feeling maybe some of these bass may have gone offshore. I'm going to have to do something about that right there anyway. But we're working. I've got a black, oh, there we go, I got one. How about that? He chased it on the way in. He chased it on the way out. He was after it. Little buck male. Oops, oops, oops. He chased it. Well, that's nice. That's always fun. Got him right in the roof of the mouth too. But he chased that dude down. I was reeling it in, and he hit it. Probably about a pound. Right at about a pound. He's got a little damage right there in his tail. Beautiful little fish. Pretty little fish. First one of the day on the Texas rigged hover rig. All right, thank you, little buddy. Now, next up, we've got the trusty EWG, right? I've got a 4/0 here and I've got a 3/0 here, and this has got a little bit of a bait keeper on it. That's the only difference between these two other than the size. And you see that the needle and the line tie are in a straight line, and we've got this extra wide gap that goes through here. And what that does is allows that bait to drop out of the way so that hook can bite home. However, a lot of times that line tie and that needle point getting in the way like that, well, it can affect hookups, and chances are higher that you'll lose fish with these than with a regular pitching and flipping hook. But these still have their applications, especially for using thicker baits like creature baits, like a pit boss or a structure bug or something like that, something that is bulky and fat. However, you want to make sure that you're matching the size of the hook to the bait that you're using. Don't be using a great big 4/0 and 5/0 hook for a 4 or 5 inch Ned. I've seen guys do that. I've seen guys take these little bitty worms, especially if they think it's got a really long curly tail or whatever. They take and they put these huge EWG hooks on it, and they just kill all the action. So make sure that you have the right size hook paired up with the right size bait. If I'm using, say, a 4 or 5 inch stick bait, I normally use a 3/0. That's usually the size that I go with. I mean, it's a bass, it's a largemouth bass. They eat by inhaling most of the time, so you're not going to have a problem getting that hook in the fish's mouth. The reason why I generally like a bigger size is because it's more stout and it won't bend out. If I use a smaller hook, especially if I hook into a big fish, there's a chance that that fish is going to bend that hook out and I'll end up losing it. So that's why we want to make sure we match up the right size hook with the right size bait. A larger style creature bait, a pit boss or a structure bug, or even something like a full-sized soft plastic jerkbait or fluke, that you'll want a larger sized hook. A 4/0 or a 5/0 hook you can get away with, but a smaller size, a 4 inch Senko, a 5 inch Senko, you want to even go smaller, maybe even down to a 2/0 hook. That's what works better because it won't kill that action, but you'll still end up getting those fish. So that's the EWG. I don't know if I like these goofy hooks or not. I don't know if I like them goofy hooks or not. Old two-stroke, looks like a Yamaha. Didn't have a sticker on it, but it looks like a Yamaha. Is that junk? No, that's a fish. It's a good one too. Oh, I got him good. All right, well, dragging the worm. Dragging the worm. He thumped it really good. That's a beautiful fish. It's got a dark color. I felt him hit it. Nice largie. Gorgeous fish. Like I said, about 1.5 pounds. Now, lastly, we're going to talk about the good old offset shank worm hook. And you can see, once again, that point and that line tie are offset. So that's going to allow for a better hookup rate than an EWG. However, there's times when you don't want to use this, when you prefer an EWG, such as fishing heavy slop. Fishing heavier slop, fishing something that needs a lot more stout hook, and fishing something where you want to have that bait have a farther distance to drop so the hook can get out of the way. Those are all things to consider. Now, this is called a worm hook for an obvious reason. Stick baits, worms, curly tail worms, trick worms, whatever, they work great on these. As a matter of fact, that's what these are made for. And as you can see, I've got a 3/0 here and I've got a 5/0 here. This is more for something like a man's jelly worm or a magnum old monster, something really big that I'll be throwing later on this year. But right now, I'm sticking to something like this. Again, that offset hook and line tie right there is going to give us a better hookup. But we don't want to really fish this type of hook. Even if we're using a worm, we really don't want to fish this through the heavy slop because a lot of times you'll just get hung up and you'll get gunk all over it and it'll just make things worse. This actually doesn't come through the thick stuff as well as an EWG or a regular pitching and flipping hook. If you've got more of a bare bottom, if you've got more rock, if you've got more wood or timber, then this will work. But if you've got a lot of slop, then I would stick with an EWG or a flipping style hook. Again, you want to match up the hook size with the type of bait you're throwing. You can use a creature bait on these. You can use something like a beaver tail or something like that. But again, you're not going to have a lot of hook space. So when that bass goes to bite down, you're not going to have a big gap for that bait to get out of the way for that hook to get into the fish's mouth. So that's why people generally just stick to worms with these or something thin. So there you have it. The three main hooks that we use for Texas rigging our soft plastics. Once you understand which one to use when, not only will your hookups go way up, but the lifelike presentation that you have with your soft plastics in the water will become much more appealing to those fish, attracting more bites. So take the time to properly pair the right hook with the right situation. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.